Okay, first on say all praises, glory, down to see how Bashim al Shai Bashim Dash. Can Devon says, False and teach great missile, following and shoot. That's a shalom to the hopeful elect of Israel. Gonna send this on well, I'm gonna go to Lamentation for I believe it's 21 first. Because you have a lot of Edomites that are complaining that, they're complaining about the conditions of America. And a lot of them don't want to accept that they are Edomites. White people are Edomites, and what you're going through now in America, for one, they haven't been going through this all that long. I'm going to get this really quickly because this proves that we're stronger. We're the strongest people on the planet. Because you got a lot of Edomites that think that, they're more powerful, they're more intelligent, because the way in which they got the world, they got it by deceit, by trick, mainly really by trickery and deceit. Like obviously they use their sword, right? But they kept power over the world by setting up things in their favor, by murdering everyone for using underhanded tactics to get what they have. So Genesis 23 and 20, 25, 23. And now, look at what they're going through. They've only been going through about 10 to 15 years of real poverty. 10 to 15 years, maybe 20, 25 max, but of real poverty, 10 to 15. These last 10 to 15 years, and they're complaining, and this is something that we've been dealing with. And you have a lot of Edomites that are upset, they're crashing out, they're crying. Now you have Jake that are just now going online and crying about it and whatnot, because things have gotten even worse for Jake. But the average Edomite, they make more money than the average Jake. Once again, maybe not so much now because the curses are going on them. You got the average Edomite that's pretty much in a similar or worse condition than Jake. But for the longest time, the average Edomite has made more than Jake until now. But they've only been going through really harsh trouble for not that long. Genesis 25, 23. And the Lord said unto her, two nations are in thy womb, and two manner of people shall be separated from thy bowels, and one people shall be stronger than the other, and the elder shall serve the younger. One people shall be stronger than the other, and we are stronger than these niggas. Hence why, they like kidnapping Jake children, or their, melanin is an extremely expensive resource that's on the black market. So Lamentation 4:21. Rejoice and be glad, O daughter of Edom, the dwellest in the land of Uz. The cup also shall pass through thee. Thou shalt be drunk, and it shall make thyself naked. So, I'm going to read this verse 22. The punishment of thy iniquity is accomplished, O daughter of Zion. He will no more carry thee away into captivity. He will visit thine iniquity, O daughter. He will discover thy sins. So now it's, you Edomites are going through trouble. You wondering why Trump is doing this. It's because the Lord, it's time for America to fall, and it's time for you niggas to go into fucking captivity. It says in Job 15:4, it mentions how every kingdom has a time limit. Or 14:5. Seeing his days are determined, and the number of his months are with thee, thou was appointed bounds that he cannot pass. And America had a time limit to how long it would be on earth, how long it would rule. That's just the truth. Hence why every attempt to try to heal America is making it worse. Trump is a prime example. You white racist pieces of shit thought that putting Trump in office would make America great again, that it will bring back the golden age. But here it is. You niggas are running up on fucking motor oil shortages and food shortages coming up on July 4th, from what I hear. Everything's continually getting fucking worse, especially for you niggas who are on top. Because it's one thing for Jake to, things get worse. Because the Israelites, we're already used to dealing with poverty. The real problem about this shit is the fact that you niggas were on top and you're falling off. There's a lot of white whores that are complaining how, life is difficult. A lot of niggas on social media are having trouble, making money. And all of these various different industries and areas where you could easily make money, it's getting more and more difficult. But I'm gonna go to the Luke 14. What was that? And all what you're going through now is nothing compared to what you're going to go through in the kingdom. This little trouble, this little financial trouble, because not even just financial trouble. Some, a lot of you white men, your white wives are divorcing you. They're fucking niggers, as you would like to say. This is Luke 16 and 20. 19, the rich man and Lazarus. And this is a parable, by the way. There's a certain rich man which is clothed in purple and fine linen, fares sumptuously every day, which represents the so-called white man. And there is a certain beggar named Lazarus, who's laid at his gate full of sores, which is us, Jake. And the sores are the curses. And desiring to be fed with the crumbs which fell from the rich man's table. And you have a lot of Jake that are happy just to get the few crumbs, whether that be a little bit of fame or a little bit of money, which fall from the table. You saw society and whatnot. Desiring to be fed with the crumbs which fell from the rich man's table. Moreover, the dogs came and licked his sores, which are the heathen, taking advantage of our people in various ways. Few examples: nail salons, setting up businesses in Jake communities, gas stations, Chinese fucking selling dog restaurants and shit. Came to pass that the beggar died, was carried by the angel into Abraham's bosom. The rich man also died and was buried. And in hell he lifted up his eyes, being in torments, he seeth Abraham far off and Lazarus in his bosom. And hell does not exist. Hell is a condition. It's a state of being. When you go into the origins of hell, it goes back into a valley of Hinnom, which was, I think it was around the southern border of Jerusalem, or western, like southwestern, somewhere along there. But it was it was pretty much a dump where dead bodies would be dumped, trash and shit like that. And you can literally look this up. It says it exactly how it is. And over time, it was exaggerated to be hell. And you have the Catholic Church. I've forgotten the guy who did it, but the Catholic Church has specially used hell as a way to control people and to get people to pay for what was called an indulgence. Is essentially a forgiveness for sin ticket, and they made money off of that. You can look that up. But that's a way that hell was used to people's advantage after it was exaggerated into what it is today. But the origins of what it was, goes back into the Valley of Hinnom, which is quite literally a hellish like area. And hell, in the scriptures, is a hellish condition. And what you currently see in America, take a look at the average Jake going through hell, fucking woman problems in the form of child support, he may have grown up a fucked up life, not really knowing, because everybody knows how Jake grew up in the hood, ignorant to the outer world. All they know was fucking rap music, nigga shit, smoking weed, and that's it. And they sit there and they wake up every day and they wonder why they can't get by, why they're struggling so fucking hard. They're stuck. In other words, if you think in hell, ideally you would be stuck in a fucked up situation. It's the same thing. It's the parallels, metaphor for a condition. Well, not metaphor for a condition. That's what it is, a condition. And just like how Edomites, right? Not being able to pay for, not being able to live the life that they once lived, and not even being able to pay for basic necessities. They're in hell, or this is turning into hell for them. They're women fucking men of other nations, no longer looking at them as the prize. And when you think of heaven, you think of what? A condition, right? Of being in bliss, happiness, peace. You've heard the term that, I'm going through hell, or you've heard the term that this is heaven. This feels like heaven. This must be heaven. It wasn't literally heaven. It was a condition of heaven. Now there's going to be something on the earth that's called the kingdom of heaven, in which we're going to be in rulership. It says Revelation 21, there's going to be no more pain, right? But even with that, there's going to be the kingdom of heaven. But then you have the conditions that come with the kingdom of heaven, which is once again, no, pretty much get whatever you want, right? Hope that's where it made sense. He cried and said, Father Abraham, have mercy on me. And send Lazarus that he may dip the tip of his finger in water and cool my tongue, for I'm tormented in his flame. And that's another clue into how this is not literally hell. Because if your whole body is on fire, what good is dipping your finger that he may dip the tip of his finger in water and cool my tongue? What good is that doesn't make sense. If your entire body was on fire, ideally you'd want water on your whole body. But it says here, cool his tongue, not even putting out the fire on his tongue, cool his tongue. So that's clearly talking about something else. Sirach 2 and 5, for gold is tried in the fire and acceptable men in the flame, in the furnace of adversity. So adversity is likened unto fire, unto flames. Adversity going into trouble, trials. And usually what comes with that is what? Some form of pain. So that adversity, that fire, that hell, the so-called white man is going to be going through is going to be what? Revelation 13:10, he that leadeth in captivity shall go into captivity. He that killeth with the sword must be killed with the sword. Here's the patience and faith of the saints. And I think it's let me see here. I know it's in James 2 and 13 or 2 and 3. James 2 and 13, for he shall have judgment without mercy that has showed no mercy, and mercy rejoiceth against judgment. So not only are you going to go into slavery for everything you've done, but you're also going to receive no fucking mercy. Going back into that parable. There was something else, but I just had it, but I forgot it. Luke 16:23, and in hell he lifted up his eyes, being in torments. You see they burn far off, and Lazarus in his bosom, which represents Lazarus being comforted. In other words, the Israelites being comforted how? By being in the kingdom. Because outside of the kingdom, in this current world, we're going through absolute hell every single second of every single day. And he cried and said, Father Abraham, have mercy on me, and send Lazarus, and said, have mercy on you. But he that hath shown no mercy will get judgment without mercy. In other words, he's going to be going through absolute hell, getting his ass kicked sundown to sundown, that he may dip the tip of his finger in water and cool my tongue, for I'm tormented in this flame, adversity, pains, torments, trouble. But Abraham said, son, remember that thou in thy lifetime receivest thy good things, and likewise Lazarus evil things, but now he is comforted and thou art tormented. There you go. And beside all this, between us there's a great gulf fixed, so that they which would pass from hence to you cannot enter, neither can they pass to us that would come from thence. And that's going into how if you're born, everything is set in its proper place, and nothing can be changed. If you're born an Israelite, then you're going to be an Israelite. You're not going to have an Edomite that's going to be reincarnated as an Israelite, or vice versa with any other nation. But and once again, this is what you're going through now. The fall of America is nothing more than a primer. All of you Edomites are being primed. You're being prepared to go into fucking slavery. This is your warm. The trouble that you're going through now is a warm up for what you're going to be going through in the kingdom. So you niggas better get fucking used to it, because you can scoff and talk shit and try to convince yourself that this isn't going to happen all you fucking want. This is real. This is reality. There's a saying that goes along the lines of how how did that shit go? But I forgot how it went. I haven't heard it in a long fucking time. But so, it's going to be surreal. It's going to be too real to seem real. And yes, to the average Edomite, this shit that's happening. It's way too fucking real to be real. This can't be real, but it is. It's surreal that you're actually they can't, because and this is how you know that the average Edomite knows that they're on top. Maybe not anymore, but you get what I mean. Because the average Edomite, they never thought, they can't imagine actually going into fucking slavery. They literally can't. I mean, we'll help them with that, of course, but they literally can't, because they're so used to being on top. The slavery is all our people have ever known. But there was something else I was trying to fucking remember, but that's pretty much it. I hope that made sense. But once again, this is the beginning and a warm up for all of you Edomites, you white people, to go into fucking slavery, and it's going to happen whether you like it or not. Just like the downfall of America, it's going to happen whether you niggas like it or fucking not. But so praise going down to how I share my shop. I should go dash to was possible. Teach great missile from true. Show what the whole Israel structure about America.